sometimes the best Christians can be the worst Christians. Now, no, I'm not saying all of these people would fall into that category, but so often they do. And when I say best Christian, I'm talking about the guy who wants to make sure he doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't cuss. He's in church every single Sunday and they're pounding their chest. And all you see is sort of an I'm better than you attitude. Now we know this. We oftentimes can see a couple flavors of Christians. Two of them for this video. One looks like he's just always looking down his nose at you, analyzing your every move, looking at your every flaw. There's the other one that this is the one that we're really all drawn to. It seems like they just love everyone. They just have this innate ability to look past your flaws. I'm not saying they condone your flaws, but they look past them and they love on you. They treat you gently. So I just want to talk to a couple of people today, I guess, whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end. I want you to think for a moment about there's the guy, he's in the pews and he's sitting there and you kind of take a little whiff and you smell alcohol on his breath. We've all been near that guy, right? And immediately, we start giving the dirty looks. We start talking behind their back. Oh, Johnny, boy, I swear every Sunday he smells like alcohol. And again, it's easy to fall into that trap. I'm not saying it's not. And we ideally want to see everyone just living a godly life, but sometimes they're not. But I think what we fail to realize, and the reason we become more judgmental, we're the judgmental one, staring down our nose, pointing our bony finger in their face, if you will, symbolically speaking, versus the one who just has the ability to love on them. It's our willingness to ask ourselves, why is this person doing this? For example, I think we know everything about someone. Maybe this 22-year-old who has alcohol in his breath every Sunday, growing up was beaten by his dad. Maybe he lost his mother in a tragic car accident and he's got so much pain and he doesn't know how to deal with it. I'm not condoning his response. I'm acknowledging his pain and what may be driving this action. Whether the response is right or not, I'm acknowledging the pain that this person is going through. Maybe there's the girl in church, and again, guys, I've seen these people so many times, it's so easy to just pull them up. There's the girl in church, and she's a little friendly with the guys, a little more friendly than what she should be. Maybe 3 or 4 guys, right? And look, we all know that. I'm talking. There are so many. She's a blah, blah, you call it what you want. These are all the Christians looking down their nose. Again, I think that the loving person has the ability to look at her and say, what is driving this? Why is this girl promiscuous with so many other men or boys, depending on what the age is? Maybe she grew up without a dad, never had a father, right? Maybe the father that she had was abusive. Maybe she had 5 fathers growing up. And it's a fact that people like this, they have an absence. When there's an absence of a male figure in their life that they can trust and depend on, you're going to find that these will be people who are more likely to be promiscuous with several men. They're trying to fill a void. And people that grew up in a healthy family with healthy parents who got along together and loved each other and were just united as one, well, their children tend to grow up in better marriages. So again, excusing the reaction of this young lady? No. But identifying with an underlying pain that maybe I don't know, and I don't have to know the pain. I think we feel as if we don't know the pain, then there must not be a pain. And I'm saying that there is a pain oftentimes that causes people to respond this way. My own personal testimony. I had this is not a reflection on my mom. My mom, I mean, indirectly it is, and indirectly it's not. I had multiple fathers growing up, and as had many, many, many people. My mom and our family is not unique. In our American culture, there are many, many, many families that grow up in broken families. Got to be honest with you. I think all too often, not always, but it is the men. It's terrible men who like to make babies, but they don't like to stick around and support them. They like to get married, but they don't like to be married for too long. Well, in my particular story, I had several dads. And by the time I was out of my senior year in high school, I had this chip on my shoulder. It was, I'm a grown man. I didn't act like one, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm a grown man. And no man, no police officer, no pastor, no boss was going to tell me how to behave. Now, a lot of people were offended by that. But you have to understand, in my mind, thank God I've grown since then, but in my mind at this time, my attitude was this: men suck. You can't rely on any man. I'll be damned if I'm going to have a man come around and tell me how to be a man. I see what all these so-called men can do. And again, I had a huge chip on my shoulder. Before you know it, I'm pounding down the booze. So it's Saturday night, right? Hey, many of us watching this have been there. Saturday night, I got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm going to blow off some steam. I know the Bible says, don't be filled with wine, but be filled with the Spirit. What does wine do? It sort of fills a void. We seek it sometimes for happiness. Now, he's not saying don't drink. He's saying don't let that be your source. Let the Spirit be your source for happiness. And that's another story. I'm just explaining this. But so again, I would be that guy in church, sitting there, smelling like alcohol, sometimes sleeping. But it was just my way of responding to a life that I grew up to. Doesn't make it right, but it was how I dealt with the pain. It was how I dealt with this missing, never having a father. I actually met my biological father, 52 now, at age 50. Now, I thought I never cared, and I never needed to meet him until I met him. And I thought, wow, I did need to meet him. It was a big deal when I finally got to meet him, but I was burying that pain in there. So the bottom line was this, is, I always felt, in my earlier days in church, I felt so unwelcome because there were so many people that in their mind, they were the good Christian. They were the best Christian. They were the guys saying, thank God I'm not like him. He's a bad Christian. He smells like alcohol. She's got a few too many boyfriends. I think that guy's been watching some rated R movies. Did you see the bumper sticker on his car? Ooh, he's buying all kinds of nice cars. He's not spending his money in the kingdom. We could go on and on. Aren't we Christians bad about staring down our nose at everyone else who's got their own set of problems? And I honestly believe this. We would all, now first of all, my message to the one who's on the receiving end, know this. Christians can be some mean people, now can't we? That's not a reflection of God. That's not a reflection of Jesus. You need to realize that sometimes you are going to encounter some people who will stare down their nose at you. Don't let that take you out of the church. Don't let that lead you away from Jesus. Don't let that be who God is to you. Okay? To the person who is on the giving end, recognize you don't know everyone's pain. You don't know everyone's story. And I'm not telling you to excuse their behavior. I'm not telling you to condone it. I'm just telling you to love on them. And if you know them well enough and the timing's right and it makes sense, have a conversation with them about a non-judgmental, loving conversation to lead them down the right path. Encourage them, motivate them, be the one that everyone wants to be around because they have so much goodness, so much kindness, and it just seems like their forgiveness is unlimited. Man, don't you love those people? Now, I'm not that person. I try to be. I'm not that person all the time. I try to be. But I want to encourage everybody to remember this. The Christians, that people are drawn to, that lead people to Christ. They're the ones who don't feel like I'm so awesome. If you're really a good Christian, in my mind, you get up every day and say, you know what? On the surface, on the outside, from people looking at me, it looks like I've got my stuff together. I'm not stealing from people. I don't reek of alcohol. I got my fancy suit on. I'm in church every Sunday. But I think a good Christian looks down and says, but you know what? If God were to examine me completely, I've got my struggles. You've got it. I have to be brutally honest. You have to be a liar to say, no, I don't. I don't have any struggles. I don't know what your thoughts are, what your demons are, what your struggles are, what it is that gets you, how the evil one gets that hook in you when no one's looking. It's easy to behave when everyone's looking. But when no one's looking, there's that song, that country song I think it is, but who are you when I'm not looking? Who is the real you? And I just want to encourage you to stop for a moment and consider that maybe you don't need to be the judge and jury of the guy sitting to the left of you who reeks of alcohol. Maybe you don't need to drop a gauntlet on someone, and you can symbolically do that merely by your look of judgment. And this is why people run out of church. If you really want to be a good Christian, encourage them. They need to be in church. They need to see love. They need to see forgiveness. Whatever that pain is, only Jesus can fill it. And when you chase them out of church, you chase them away from the only place that they can get the kind of love and reception and grace and forgiveness. When you chase them from out of there, you're not being a good Christian. You can live it, you can show it on the outside, but if it's not in here and you're not expressing the very forgiveness, remember, God forgave you just as you were. He didn't stop forgiving you after you became a Christian. And we should be forgiving these people the same way, showing them grace, showing them mercy, showing them love. Yes, absolutely. If they are out of control, deeply misbehaving, yes, we call it out in love, but we're not the judge, we're not the jury. Hope that helps. God bless you guys.